The Civil and Environmental Department of the Engineering Students Society presents to you Meet the Experts. Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, we were unable to acquire the beginning of the recording. We do apologize for the inconvenience caused.
Hobbies, you would realize that I would really show you some of the things that I'd encountered, right? So my university experience, I started with a passion for engineering. I always wanted to be an engineer since I was very young, right? And also I had a passion for education as well, right? And that inspired me to be a tutor during my time at university, right? So I used to tutor students I'm from Tobago, by the way, if you can't tell by the accent, right? So I used to have students flying across from Tobago to Trinidad to be tutored, very privileged, an honor to be able to do things like that while I was in university, right? I was also involved with the ICE, iShakti. I was involved with, well, I used to support ESS and all that stuff. So what you're doing right now is you're in a good part, right? And I also was on Hall. So, came from Canada Hall. Well, I don't know if you guys know about these things anymore, given there's a pandemic and half of you guys haven't seen, university. But yes, there's things called halls of residence where you have whole life, right? So I would have excelled at my university studies. I was one of the top students in the class, right? I, even though I was the top student, I did not start off with first class honors. So I started off my degree in second class and I gradually worked up to first class, right? One little thing I'd like to put in between here is that I tried pursuing a internship with BP. Now, before I came into university, BP was like, hey, BP is a place for me to work, right? So I remember signing up for the internship, and at first I realized, I didn't get through, and I just something told me to email them, right? And I emailed them, and I tell me it was a glitch, and I reached a higher stage in the internship interviewing process, but then I think it was the final interview, and then I didn't get through, right? You'll see why this is important later on, right? I would have specialized in geotechnical engineering. I love geotechnical engineering because of I'm someone who like maths, right? And geotechnical engineering had a lot of mathematic concepts that I just naturally gravitated towards. So now following that, also I didn't state that I remember handing out my final year project and starting like the same day I had my final year project due, I would have started giving crash courses for my university peers, right? So this would have been engineering maths. No, it was engineering statistics then because that was a second semester course, right? And that really launched my career as providing lessons for university students. So now following that, I would have, so life as a new graduate, right? I continued giving crash courses, right? So these were something called Jahlin Camp, right? JMC, right? Where I gave some crash courses like during for every major exam, right? So I think, even Miss Best, yeah, president, she would have supported us throughout the years, and as well as other persons, right? So life as a new graduate, I started my private lessons business, wasn't anything formal. And also I had an opportunity. Oh, I should be doing this in the meantime, right? So this is me giving lessons here, right? And then I started an internship with HEC, right? This program was nice. It gave me a lot of insights into certain things that happen into the field. I worked in the CMO department, which is the construction management operations, which kind of deals with all the constructions of all the different developments for HEC. So it was good insight, when I was there, I was responsible for doing supply chain, right? Back then, it seemed boring because it was, well, I'm not saying that this is boring, right? Don't take anything I say as gospel. But, it was dealing more with ISO and, quality management systems and these things. You guys probably did civil management or civil engineering law, so you probably get introduced to that already. And, back then it didn't seem like that enticing, but the field exercises were, really nice, right? So in the middle of this internship, right, I was faced with a major life dilemma, right? So it was literally one thing, and I'll tell you now, when you go out there and you're getting opportunities always come in pairs, right? I don't know if it's just some way of the universe working or the, God testing you to know what choice you're gonna make, red pill, blue pill, right? So when I was in HEC, this was only for duration of time, was probably 12 weeks or less, right? And during that period of time, I would have BP, so remember BP that I mentioned before, this is where it comes in. BP would have had this graduate program for a construction manager, right? So I would have started that process very vigorous. I've never seen an interview process that vigorous before, right? Throughout my entire career. And I worked a lot of jobs before university, right? I was someone who working since I probably 7 years old, right? So I started the process, go through hundreds of applications. I would have reached the first interview where it was narrowed down from like 500 applicants to like 10 of us, right? And then for the second interview, it was a more technical interview. I was invited to that, right? Which I think was only 4 persons got through to that level. So I was one out of the 4. Remember, I tried with BP before, and BP was my thing to do, right? So, I mean, yes, that was a big decision. I was like, yes, ready for that now. Then another opportunity came, same time, simultaneously. I had the interview for the next opportunity before my final interview. And that one was for a job at EISL, right? So this is a geotechnical engineering firm. And remember I said before that I specialize in geotechnical. That is more technical and, it would have been in a consultancy firm. So, it was a choice between go to EISL or go to BP. Now, listen to this. BP would have been paying probably twice as more than EISL, right? So BP, everybody know BP, the prestige and stuff like that. And I already then had this passion for it. And then I already was presented with an opportunity to work with EISL. And then, I'm there in the crossroads thinking, do I pursue BP? If I did BP, would not have been a consult. I would not have been doing calculations. I'd have been working on the site, kind of like a construction manager, which, all right, but I like my calculations, right? So it was a choice between ASL, less pay, right? Better experience. That's your specialization, or go to BP, bigger pay, more prestige. You feel good that you're going to BP. And I ain't gonna lie, that was a very big decision in my life, right? But what led me, so you'll see at this stage, is work at BP or work at ESL. Oh gosh, I cannot sell it out here. You guys, I'm hearing some feedback. I don't know if, am I still there? Yeah?
Yes, John, we're hearing you. I think someone had their mic on by accident.
Oh. Okay, great. All right. I hope I'm not boring you guys. So yeah, this is so to work at ESL. So then, I would have choose ESL for the sake of all right, more experience, but I would have choose ESL because of the flexibility, right? To work on my own personal business. Because if I'd work at BP, I'd talk to some persons at BP and they told me, hey, you don't have no life. So they're paying you a lot of money for you to absorb all their time into their business. So persons leaving there 10 o'clock and stuff like that. But I still wanted to give my little crash courses. I still wanted, I still had a little passion for education and I wanted to reform the education system. So, it was a big decision, and most persons might have went with BP, but I bite the bullet and I went with ESL. So great. So when I was at ESL, got some nice opportunities to work with the QF interchange, right? Well, to kind of oversee the pilot testing and the pilot installation. I got to work with the Valencia landslide. So right now there were some landslides up there. I got to, do some drilling and stuff up there. I also would have been able to do some DCPs along the Valencia Toco Road expansion. So those were really nice projects to work on all of this that I'm talking about is 2 months after I finished my final exam in UE, right? Then fate would have it that my time at ESL was to be disrupted, where, I'm a scholarship winner, right? So there's this part in the contract that you have to work back for the government, right? So, me living my dreams in ESL, then bam, get a call, say, hey, you need to, so it was Thursday, they told me I need to report Monday to start a job. And I was like, what? So I hear them disappointed because you're going from working in a field where you're going to see calculations, you're going to see the work, all of this is really cool stuff. As a new engineer, you coming out and seeing big instruments like this, trust me, that was real cool. Then I got placed in Ministry of Education. Womp, 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 right? So it was like, that was a major blow to me then, right? But in that time, I was placed in the Educational Facilities Planning and Procurement Division. So that division deals with the oversight of all the schools and all the government schools in Trinidad and Tobago, right? So they deal with the planning and the procurement, so all the facilities management and, at this point in time, sometime between here, well, I was at ESL at that point in time when it had the major earthquake that happened in 2018. Yes, so some of those, you had to realize when I came here, we had to be fixing or going on site visits to see some of these schools that was affected by the earthquake, right? So, the time there was really, they had no calculations, right? It was really more planning and procurement, which again is still part of the whole civil engineering experience, right? But it's not where you're trying to find, differential equations of anything, right? Or it is really just paperwork, calling in a contractor saying, to just deal with different things. But we wasn't the ones doing the contracting, we just calling in the contractors to do different things, right? So that was my experience there. I worked there for a year. I gave extra lesson at UE part-time, so that was good, right? I was able to oversee the planning and procurement for like 156 schools, got to witness a lot of problems with school design. One of the benefits which I realized I didn't see in foresight was that when you go into a design office, if you start your career in a design office, you rarely get to see the problems. And I think it's really good for you to get some site experience so you could see the problems and you could design to mitigate these problems. Kind of is like doing things in retrospect. So the benefit of me getting to work at Ministry of Education is that, I was able to see some problems 20 years down the road. So meaning that you're seeing problems that surfacing 20, 50 years after the structure is already built. So now okay, when you're designing, you can't see, sometimes you can't see 50 years down the road when you're designing, but you still have to design with that in mind. So that was one of the, it was really a nice, something that I didn't see as beneficial when I went into it, but coming out of it, I realized that was really nice, right? And I'm still talking all of this from the point of view of being a civil engineer while dabbling in entrepreneurship. And I know some of you guys on this call want to start your own business or want to, just want to do your own thing. You probably have some passion and you want to grow a business. So within this point in time, I still got a lot of insight into building maintenance. I expanded my business, so from me giving crash courses, I started to bring in tutors who was now able to tutor. And then I still, dabble in a little bit of real estate, right? So after that now, I was unemployed. So you guys, lucky for me, because I was a little bit proactive, you realize I didn't had much unemployed periods before, right? Because even when I was in final year, I was already looking for internships, and I would have designed my life in such a way that to mitigate that problem of being unemployed. But after I finished my 1 year time at Ministry of Education, I was unemployed for just some months, right? So luckily I had my business to fall back on. So I was able to provide my tutoring, right? Because at that point in time, I was still giving crash courses. And well, I started tutoring more university students, so engineering, maths one, all the different maths and stuff like that, as well as I grew my team to like 7, 10 tutors, who were in different faculties who were able to provide tutoring. And then in this period, I would have stopped teaching because I got back an opportunity to work at ESL. So, I mean, all of this is just to show you how things could be so topsy-turvy at times, especially first 3 years after, all of this year. This would have been at a period probably 1 year and a half after I graduated, right? So then I came back at ESL, I came in as a junior engineer, and this is where, I forget my slideshow. So this was me in education, work on some schools, nothing major, but this now is where me at ESL, right? So I got to work on a lot of major projects, right? This is this is a landslide you're seeing here. This is up Sandy Grand. Well, a landslip, not a slide, right? Because this just gradually, this is some piles below a road. So on top is actually, on top you're seeing the wall here is actually the retaining wall for a road. So this is an example of a retaining wall with piles, but very old, right? And it just slip away. So this was a project I was able to work on, oversee some pile installation in the Port of Spain General Hospital. This is still going on right now as we speak, right? I got to work on a lot of projects, land development projects. So this year is this year is what you call a SPT drill. Right, so in geotechnical engineering, remember ESL, we specialize in geotechnical engineering. So this is a branch of civil engineering, which, more centered around soil mechanics and these things where, trust me, is a lot goes into the ground that you don't know. And especially if you're going into structural engineers, you tend to be very blindsided by the amount of engineering that goes into stabilizing a ground, right? But it's always good to be, trust the expertise of geotechnical engineers because, I mean, some of the sites you go on could be so varied and you could think that your building is only as good as your foundation. So you could think that you are going into a site that is on stable ground, and by the time you go, 5 foot, 10 foot below, you realize that there's 20 years ago, the site was a dumping site. So sometime when we drill, you could encounter things like, garbage and debris, which, okay, 10 feet down seems like far, but when you are placing a 3-story structure on it, it becomes significant, right? Where long-term settlement could take place, which could distort certain things in a building. So geotechnical engineering is really, trust me, is a field that requires a lot of creativity, right? Which is, what gravitated me towards it. And it takes a lot of history sometimes. You have to talk to persons around in order to get an idea of what really transpired, right? Years ago. So, but it's really interesting and rewarding. So this is a CPT drill, right? Again, a different type of mechanism. This is, a landslide up La Romaine, right? So you could see here, all of this, what you're seeing down here, sorry that I can't annotate, what you're seeing below here, all of this was at one point in time in level with the car, but it just slipped straight down, right? So it was really nice, interesting projects. These are here what, tension cracks, so if you're seeing this pink thing here, this is a camera. So this clay was cracking to the point where my foot could have fit in there. You understand? And all of this was on the same landslide. So it's a lot of interesting stuff. This here is some form work at the Roxborough Hospital, right? Which I had done some work on. This here was, I think, was the last project I worked on at ESL, right? And this was a landslide. Sorry, I didn't put more pictures, but it's just I know I don't know if I'm going over time yet, but I'm wrapping up now, right? So, bam. So this is some of the projects that I would have worked in from at the end of 2019, December 2019 to May of this year, right? So this is a little side note, right? So during that period of time, I was doing all of this while, don't forget the teaching, right? So that was still a business that was operating to the side. So I was still expanding my business, right? So I was able to manage my business part-time. It had nights where I sleep in the office, not gonna lie, right? And to the point where I just know, hey, leave Jahlin alone, he do anything, right? And then one of the important things is that I started to innovate and integrate, right? So what this means is that I started tackling my lessons business from a civil engineering perspective, right? And you'll put a pin in this because this is something where, I think, it breeds a lot of innovation, right? Where everybody will go about their lessons business as, teaching, tutoring, or whatever. But I started seeing my business from a civil engineering perspective, which made a big difference for me, right? So then at May of this year, right, we was in the peak of the pandemic, and I took a major leap of faith, right? Trust me, I was not in a position to leave ESL, but at this point in time, my business was in a position where, it was a lot of things to save the business, firstly, which required me to become a website developer overnight. Ask me how I do it, God alone knows, right? But I learned how to design a website overnight. I remember staying up that night and learning the basics so that way I could have, grown my website to be what it is now, right? So at that point in time, I was so immersed in this new understanding website development that I could not have juggled engineering and the business again, right? So this is where I took a major leap of faith and decided to leave ESL, which was one of my major streams of income. My business, I would not say was at the point where it was fully 100, sustainable then, but I was hoping for school to reopen September. And sometimes there are certain things that talk to you, you call it conscience God, right? And at that point in time, he was really guiding me along the path to, hey, Jahlin, you need to pay attention to what you're doing here and go into this full time. You can't juggle it anymore. And I did that, right? So I expanded my business while keeping my integrity. And what that means is that my business was built to really tackle education reform, right? So one of it is that I don't try to, it might seem weird, it's an education business called Ultimate Excellence Enterprises. And we don't aim to really make any money on education, which is like, we're really built, right? And, during the pandemic, I would have, well, so this is where the business is at now. I mean, I'll probably show you a little preview, but anyway, it's basically a community, right? Which, well, I'll show you a little preview after so you could see, right? But yeah, so, we weren't really able to make any money. And I was just adamant that, hey, education needs to be as affordable as possible, right? So that way, so that way students like yourself could benefit from one-on-one tutoring at a very, very next to nothing affordable rate, while we also find an employment for university students who just graduated. Because everybody might go through a period where, you're probably unemployed, and we are now saying, hey, okay, you graduate, you was able to do well in this course, come and become a tutor with us. And that way, you get some money in your pocket, right? And basically all the money that the student pay was going right to the tutor. So we wasn't making anything really, right? But fate would have it that, I was able to be awarded a National Youth Award for Innovation, right? And right now I'm in the position where I'm low-key hoping the next semester, it kickstart. So where you're seeing the integration of, so what my business is now, right, is UBL Academy is a fully virtual augmented, a kind of augmented reality system, right? So UE here, I don't know if you guys know what UE look like. No, I just teasing, right? But yeah, and so where the integration happens between civil engineering and education is, this is what it looks like, right? So we have different entities, the student university, which is kind of space for university students, a student high school. We have a shop, which is like an online shop for students, convenience shopping, kind of like an Amazon, right? We have, we also have university rentals, which is like off-campus accommodation. When you guys come, you might have to rent off campus sometimes, right? And as you could see, is education, but what makes it innovative is that I was able to put a civil engineering perspective into this, right? So it's a virtual academy and one of a kind. You won't see any other in the world like it. Well, I know people gonna copy us just now, probably already start, right? And but this is how I was able to integrate civil engineering into my lessons, which it don't seem like much, right? But I think I think this is what breeds innovation, when you're able to integrate two unrelated concepts. Because back then when I was a teacher, I was just a tutor, right? And it's only throughout my career as I progressed in civil engineering, I custom with buildings and stuff like that. I said, hey, why not create this, right? Which, you can't see the full picture, but is so much more than what meets the eye right now. It's like a Facebook-like community, where you see, there are many different persons, so you'd see there are different users and stuff like that. And, a lot of, you're seeing Fana starring here, right? And a lot of different things, right? So now coming back to the presentation here, right? And wrapping it up, because I know I'm probably over time, right? What lies next? I don't know. It's really God to really determine that. But my lessons learned through this entire period, all of this happened in the space of 2 years. I graduated in 2018, right? So lessons learned is dream big and apply yourself. So you see that I would have, it was a balanced straight shot of me providing crash courses and lessons while managing my engineering, right? Make wise decisions when stuck at the crossroads. Because my decision with BP, I believe that if I took the opportunity at BP, or now I would have been laid off, right? I probably had a little bit more money, but I would not have been able to build UEL Academy to the point where it is today, right? Don't lose sight of your inner passion. So all of that is, I still wanted to do education and civil engineering, but I find a way to balance it. Everything is connected, so integrate and innovate. What makes UEL Academy why we was awarded the Youth Innovator Award for 2021 was because everybody else go about lessons. I was the only person to go about lessons from a civil engineering perspective, right? Entrepreneurship is risky, but it can be worth it. So, that's that, right? And don't forget to develop your spirituality, right? That is most important because, I think when you're coming out, school don't really tell you, hey, the purpose of praying or, meditating and these things. And, you realize that is by developing that side of yourself, you are able to strive even further, right? So that is number one, should be on your list, right? To always make sure that you know who you are, right? And keep centered in that, because you could always be, I was awarded, certain things. So meaning I was awarded engineering, I was awarded for maths and these things. And if I did not know myself, I would have just went along a path saying that, okay, yeah, I just want to do engineering. But, the side of me that's saying, hey, you like teaching, that would have been stifled because of the lack of awareness of who I am, right? So don't forget to develop that side of yourself. And this really brings us to the end of the presentation. So I don't know if it was boring. I don't know if I talked too fast. And I'll allow Mr. Dunn or the panel to take back the floor now. So that ends my presentation.
So, Ira, I just wanted to make a couple of comments, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
Because I'm so inspired by, it's always a pleasure to hear Jahlin. I think everybody would agree with me. I'm so inspired by this, right? And this is, I want to take up a couple of lessons for you. But well, first of all, I'm very happy that there's 30 people on the chat now. But let me tell you what I'd like you to take away from Jahlin's presentation. The first thing is that you can apply civil engineering to any area of your life. Yes. As you see, and let's look at Jahlin example. He could have gone a straight career choice of technical in BP and so on, and here's the deal: he could have been frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been frustrated. And Jahlin, you could jump in, obviously. I mean,
yeah.
Because we're doing interaction now. He could have been very frustrated, but look at Jahlin's face. Every time you watch Jahlin, he's happy. He's satisfied, he's smiling because he followed his passion. He followed his passion. In this case, his passion, yes, it was civil engineering, but then his passion is teaching. And so this is the first lesson I want everybody to take away from this, that if you watch for those who joined earlier and would have listened to what I had to say, you follow your passion. My passion was dealing with corruption. It has always been a passion in the entire career, and that is how I ended up with the PhD. Jahlin's passion is integration, innovation, right? As a side bar conversation, I applied civil engineering to another aspect of my life. I used the project management experience of that I had to plan my own wedding. I had my own wedding on a spreadsheet. And you laugh. And you can ask my wife this. I put my entire wedding on a spreadsheet, right? To manage everything from cost to everything. And my wife was like, what? But the thing is that you can apply civil engineering to any aspect of your life, because let me tell you why civil engineering is such a good career choice. it conditions your mind. Civil engineering, what it does, it teaches you project management, planning, and you find yourself now, that's why I'm just admitting more and more people as you go along, right? You find yourself for anything, whether you're going to the grocery, whether you, well, in my case, whether you're getting married, whatever you're doing, you find that you know your mind is conditioned to planning and project management because that is what it does, right? And as you pursue each other degree, that is what it's going to give you. Now, one of the other things I thought was very useful for what Jahlin was talking about is that he learned some other skills, right? He learned some other skills, right?
A lot of different skills.
Right, he learned, and you can put your face back on it, Jahlin, we want to see you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're not seeing me right now?
No, we're seeing
Okay,
you.
no
We see in your other
Oh,
icon.
sorry.
So,
Sorry, I was, let me, okay.
all right, sounds good.
You're
So-
not seeing,
Yeah, well, I seen you on the, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So he learned other skills, which was really like web development. I mean, I recently started a marketing company with my wife, and I now learning how to do video editing. Imagine that, late in my career. But what I realizing is that my planning skill, my civil engineering skills kind of helping me to edit a video out using video editing software. So this is one of the other things I wanted to tell you. We're going to pick up again from what Jahlin is saying. He's talking about mentoring, something that is lacking.
Yeah.
Right? I'm seeing it in the, I'm not criticizing the Department of Civil Engineering, but I'm seeing it as a general comment to the University of, not only this university, but the other one as well, that we need to learn to mentor because students need guidance. And mentoring is not just about mentoring to the technical stuff. Early in the year, we had done a mental awareness with the IC chapter, a mental awareness seminar, which you can find on my YouTube channel, and it's still very effective as to you're mentoring not just for mentoring a human being, you're not mentoring a box. You understand?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is the other thing. Remember, a human being is complex. The other thing too I picked up from this, and you see that is why I tell you I was looking forward to Jahlin's presentation, is because you don't have to choose a design construction career. You could choose to be what they call an associate of civil engineering. You could be in lecturing, as Jahlin is pursuing. You could be in the supply side of things. You could be in the mentoring side. You could be developing a technology. The output of my research was a spreadsheet that was designed to do rapid tender evaluation. And I have been looking for somebody who will be able to give me an affordable price to develop this entire app. Okay, so that you could go onto the App Store and download this as an app. So you could develop. There are many. If you go on the App Store, there are many civil engineers who have developed apps which are used in industry. So those are other things you can do as a civil engineer, right? People development. I know something that is something Fana is big on, and people development. Soft skills, what you call soft skills, but these soft skills are really now quite essential. Very essential. How you interact with people. When I used to teach a project management class, I used to ask them, oh, what do you think project management is? And they say, well, so is management of projects. I said, no. Project management is the management of people who manage projects, but the projects don't manage themselves. Okay? And so that is another thing that you'll be faced with. Right now, if you are in group projects, you're learning some people skills. You're learning who is the person performing the most in the group and who is the person who not performing in the group. You're learning now that you have to accept now that your rate of work is not the same as everybody else's rate of work. Your ethics that you bring in is not the same as everybody's ethics, right? I see somebody put a comment which I agree, Microsoft projects need wedding planning. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. In fact, wedding plan. Let me tell you something. If you are a project manager, which is what civil engineering gives you, you can manage any project, you know, it doesn't have to be construction. You have the conditional skills to manage anything. I guarantee you this is what civil engineering will provide to you. I see a president back online. Sorry, I don't think electrical engineering might provide it to you. But I have to get back expression. But civil engineering gives you a life of project management. I can tell you, my own wife gets frustrated with me when we are traveling because I have everything in a pocket somewhere, I have all my documentation, I have it planned, and I ready to roll. When you see I reach by immigration, I pull out, and that is what it has done for me. It has conditioned your mind. So
Yeah.
those are the things you have to pick up. Now,
Yeah.
let's talk entrepreneurship. This is something that we need to talk about. Entrepreneurs, so I see some people, so I don't meet some persons, right? Sorry if I'm meeting you. You're another meeting as well. No, I can't meet you. Sorry, he's a host. All right. So let's talk about entrepreneurship. Let me tell you from a personal point of view, what a psychiatrist told me one time, not because I went to see the psychiatrist, right? I'm just telling you what we were having a discussion. Engineering students, they are not risk takers. No, we are not. You know why? Because engineering teaches you to calculate and mitigate risk. You drive, as a civil engineer, you're driving down the highway, you know, somebody giving you a hard drive, you try to avoid the risk. That is the very genesis of our careers. We are all avoiding risk. Entrepreneurship carries risk. Okay? So how do you deal with that? And I want Jahlin to come in here now. How, Jahlin, did you deal with having to make that brave move from being a, we call an adverse risk taker to a risk taker?
Well, I would say my background, I came from a background where I took a lot of risks, you know. So I guess for me, I had the liberty of, you know, I am always someone who see myself as not a hustler, but someone who I would naturally be prone to taking a lot of risks, because I even remember in my final year, right? Normally coming into this degree, persons have the stigma that, hey, civil engineering is one that, as Mr. Don would have said, Dr. Don would have said before, you start with a group of 60 persons, but when you reach your final year, 20 persons are left, you know? So, you know, I was always advised to play the safe road, right? Just getting in, get a degree and get out, right? But one of the things that I would have done on my final year, which I would say set the stage for what I'm doing today, is that in my final year, while everybody was downsizing and saying that, okay, I'm just going to focus on the degree alone, I went the opposite direction. So that year I would have became a treasurer in ICE. I would have became the co-chairman of iShakti. I would have been whole deputy chairman and a lot of things. And my intention back then was that, hey, Jahlin, if you're going to be an entrepreneur or whatever later down the road, you have to be able to know how to manage all these things. And that was the best learning platform for me, where I mean, there's no major risk there if I fail at not planning some events for a club, you know, as opposed to now me having a business, and if I fail, you're losing X amount of, you know, how much ever, thousands of dollars, right? So I would say I would have built my risk appetite throughout my university experience by involving myself and stretching myself. So that way, when I come out, I could now be, you know, I mean, as simple as my business is looking, there's a lot of different entities, right? Real estate, Amazon-like experience. I mean, it's still a Facebook-like platform and all of that. And I would have developed that capacity while I was in school, and I would have deliberately done so. So it's something that you guys could do as well too. I mean, university use it as a playground, right? It might sound weird, but it is, you don't have much risk at that stage. Most you could do is really fail a course, right? I mean, I'm not trying to trivialize that. I mean, that is why we here at UEL, you could always come for tutor, you know, but
Can we make a plug,
but you know, it's still a young stage in your career where when you come out of the university space, this is the last of your childhood really there, right? Because when you come out, you're managing projects that worth millions of dollars, right? You're managing a business, which if, you know, you fail, you are going bankrupt, right? Where you realize the risk is a lot greater when you come out. So I would say you start to build your capacity from now. Okay, this is what you want to do. You want to be an entrepreneur? Involve yourself. You know, get yourself used to managing your schoolwork plus something to the side. Get used to it now. You understand? Because when you go there, the world is not nice. You know, it's not gonna say, okay, well, you know, you started, but no, you're gonna be losing money. You're gonna be, you know, facing sleepless nights and a lot of different challenges. So take the university experience to really expand your skills, learn as much as possible, have faith that whatever you're learning now, it is the dots just connect later on. So you're seeing UVL Academy now as this nice integrated things. It did not start like that. You see the real estate that are there to the side, I realized, hey, bam, there's a niche there. You know, and right now we fulfilling a niche that nobody else is fulfilling in Trinidad and Tobago. You understand? So things like that, the dots just connect later down, right? You just have to make guided steps in the right direction, right? With having faith in what you're working towards. Okay, I know I want to be this. I'm not seeing how this related to it, but I know it's somewhat, you know, if I do a course in this or do something related to it, it's a step in the right direction. You know, so that would be my advice to the up and coming budding entrepreneurs and, you know, those who, you know, are very ambitious, right? And want to take on the world after they finish their degree. So hope I wasn't too long with my presentation.
No, we enjoyed it, man. So, you know, you see, I like, and this is why, you see, I like to be inspired by people younger than me, and in your case, yes. One of the other takeaways from what Jahlin just said, right, is let's talk about failure. Now, when I first failed that course at the university, in year one, I failed one course. In year two, I failed 2 courses. In year 3, I failed 3 courses. Now, by simple mathematics, how much courses do you think I failed in year 4? Not 4 courses, right? 0 courses. Why you have to fail, right? And failure is actually a good thing. Not at the time when you're failing, you know, but in future. You talk about connecting the dots. Yeah. When you fail, you learn. You learn what not to do, right? Mm-hmm. This is part of risk-taking and entrepreneurship. You will fail. Some of you will fail, yes, and some of you will not fail. But that doesn't mean it's a failure of your life.
Yeah.
It just means you're failing at that particular thing. But and in my case, being a spiritual person, God just trying to tell you, hey, this is not for you. You have to go some other direction. Okay? Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and I just want to add in here, you know, that all of that, this problem of the high failure rate in engineering would have inspired, that was the major inspiration for what we build in today. You know, so you realize that all our systems are designed for the students who are struggling in a course where you could now get one-on-one assistance, because it's different from classes. Classes is, you attend lectures, you know, so you already know the information. Sometimes what you need to do is ask somebody on a one-on-one basis a question that you're afraid to talk in front of the whole class, you know, because you don't want to seem too dumb, right? Not saying that anybody is dumb, right? But it's a reality, you know, that's what prevents certain students from learning. You know, so even that problem of failure is what we ourselves are trying to erect or minimize, but it's still something that you can't be afraid of. You know, it's not something you should think it's the end of the world when you fail.
No.
Right? Yeah, a major inspiration come from your greatest failure sometimes. And I could attest to that, you know. I don't know. I know Aaron probably had some questions and stuff to ask.
Yeah. So let's hear from Aaron now.
Yeah.
I've been here whole night.
Actually, most of the questions, I had some pre-made questions to forward to you.
And the students as well too. I know they might have some questions as well.
Honestly, you all would have answered a lot of the questions that I would have, especially with regards to not just seeing engineering as going to school and study, but looking in terms of other aspects, doing other things. Mm-hmm. Also, not just, you know, we go into school, all right, graduate, become an engineer, we're not only supposed to limit ourselves to Trinidad and Tobago as well. For students that here, we could look at going abroad, we could look at
you have to see yourself as global. You are a global person, not a necessarily a country related person.
Yeah, and I also love the fact that you brought up the topic of certification becoming chartered, because I know that is something that I don't think we have a lot of discussions about just graduating and you come out of school, but like there's no kind of information that is passed down to us on okay, how to be properly certified and become a chartered engineer. And I really like the fact that you touched on that. And
well, I could touch on it more though, if you want right now. So
yeah, you can touch a little bit on it.
I got time stop. All right. I mean, I'm talking about. All right, so let's let me give it. Now, I served with the IC for a long time and recently quit. And that's another story by itself. But becoming chartered, and let's talk reality. If you are chartered, you will most likely not be paid for it in the Caribbean. Okay, let me just get that out of the way. Becoming chartered is for your own decision to have a certification in your career that is global. It's not the only global certification. I would have pumped that out through when I was the IC rep. It still is a global certification. However, there are others. There's the project management professional, PMP. Okay. You could also join, you could become board registered, right? Well, you should become board registered. There's a legal requirement in whichever country you have to practice. You could get the EUR ING, which is in the European Union. That is a qualification allows you to practice there. I wanted to understand though that if you were to go to the UK website for the JBM, the Joint Board of Moderators, you would be able to type in your degree and you will see whether it is accredited, because accreditation is extremely important for your career. If your degree is accredited, then it will be recognized in other countries. United States don't really recognize your degrees. They have their own accreditation process. So if you are going to practice in the United States, you have to do your what is called your PING exam, and then there's an initial exam, and then later on you can do another exam. So there are options for certification, but you can check the JBM to see whether your degree is accredited. Having spoken with the head of department, Dr. Olotuji, he was saying that they are now going back in the next cycle of accreditation for the department. All right, so I touched on it. I can go more, but obviously, you know, I get limited. Go ahead here.
Okay, we just like to open the floor for any questions that you would like to pose to Dr. Don or Jahlin.
Mr. Jahlin.
Yeah, Mr. Jahlin.
Jahlin. So I've seen someone hands up, Zachary.
They'll ask all at once now.
So, good evening, everyone. I just have one question. You could just repeat back where you said where we could check to see if the degrees are accredited.
Yes, you could go to the. In fact, let me see if I can bring up the website for as we talk. You can actually do it on the IC website. So hold on, I'm gonna just go to the IC website. Just give me 2 seconds, and then I'll share that screen with you. Okay, so here, where is it? Boy, hold on. Let me just get it for you. There's a point in the website you could actually go. And
I think you got the accreditation.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you have the accreditation for especially like UK and stuff like that. So.
Right, so I'm looking for it and now I can't find it. All right, but it's on the I could always WhatsApp it to Aaron and he could get it. But there's the if I bring up the JBM website, you know, you're looking for something on the internet and you can't get. I'm not able to find it right now. But if you, if you go on the IC website and you're looking to join as a graduate member or whatever, they normally get you through that activity where they ask you for your degree and where you host it, and then when you put in those details, it'll tell you whether it is accredited for chartered, and I want to do it live. Let's see. Let's give him a few seconds. Hey, Jahlin, you can fill in for me while I'm looking for this.
Okay, that's no problem. I just want to advise
I think this is
persons
important.
that
Yeah.
certain things that I did not make mention of is I'm still don't think that UL is the end of my career as an engineer. I still do a lot of different things. Like I have a business where, you know, I deal with smart homes, right? Which is a technology we was hoping to bring in before the start of the pandemic, right? So that is something that I'm still dabbling on the side. I still involve myself actively with APET, right? As well as iShakti, right? So when you graduate, you can become graduate members of these organizations as well as ICE, right? So in doing so, you are always in a community of engineers like myself and others like Dr. Don, right? Where you can gain a lot of insights, right? I would always advise you to attend the seminars, right? Because the seminars gives a lot of useful information about what happens in the industry itself, right? And always aim to develop yourself as well as your your qualifications, especially in the civil engineering, because it's a lifelong learning degree. You know, it starts when you graduate. Yeah, which is something you'll hear a lot of them saying.
Yeah, so I finally find the courses too. So if you enter University of you're seeing it on screen, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's say University of West Indies, your course started was September. Zachary, what year started?
2020.
2020. Oh, wow. And you're a full-time student, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's see what will happen. Hopefully the IC website is be a little slow at times. Huh?
Actually, it was University of Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, shucks.
Oh, you're in UTT. Oh.
Yeah. Hold on. No, go back. Well, I'm not sure if University of Trinidad is accredited, right?
Yeah, I think that might be a problem.
But because I was speaking with the head there, that is Dr. Chin Chambi, and you were saying that they have to pursue the accreditation program, right? I don't know why this thing not allowing me to pick September. Weird but true. All right, we'll try September 19. Normally it have the University of West Indies there. I don't know if I'm not typing it properly or whatever. It's the University of West Indies. But this is one way of checking. There we go. So here we go. We have University of West Indies, Trinidad and Tobago. And if you keep on, so you have to enter your degree details, not necessarily a name, and then it will tell you now whether your course is accredited. The same check you can do at the JBM web. So here we go. So the PhD is, for example, my PhD is accredited. Civil with environmental, the MSc is here, the BSc. This is probably what it for those who doing it at UE. So if you click civil engineering, and it'll tell you now. So here we go.
Nice.
All right, so it'll say Trinidad and Tobago, University of West Indies, civil engineering, CH with FL. So what that accreditation means is you are accredited to become a chartered engineer with FL, which is further learning. So for further learning, it means a master's or a combination of qualifications that equate to a master's. All right. So that would be essentially, so you could go to the IC website and do the course search tool, or you could go to the JPM website, right? Does that answer your question, Zachary?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
All right.
Any other questions?
Keep it coming. But I might have to ask a question. So the question now, and we could do a thumbs up reaction. You know, we like to do the thumbs up. How many of you came into this seminar uninspired by your career choice and now inspired? Thumbs up. Only one person out of 31. 2 persons. Well, somebody have a question. 3. Nobody else inspired. Yeah. All right, somewhat inspired. Yeah. Okay, fine. I think I have a question there from Emmanuel.
Right, yeah, hi. Good night, everyone. For me, I wouldn't say I was uninspired, but I had a bit of conflicting thoughts in terms of passion and purpose. I feel like those words are just terms for like a certain sense of competence in whatever you're doing. And I initially didn't start it off as with a vision of wanting to be a civil engineer, but I grew to love it first and foremost. But during my journey here, I felt like I made a sacrifice in terms of this thing that I really love to do initially. So come to hear that your experience is that it's much bigger than how I see it. It seems interesting enough. So I would say that this has opened my eyes for a lot of things so far.
So I just wanted to drive more into that. So you would say that you was uninspired, but now you're seeing some options on the table, perhaps?
Yeah, not uninspired. I didn't want it to feel like it was a dead end, or like I made this life choice and this is I sacrificed this thing and I can't go back to it ever again.
So let me try and inspire a little bit. Let's go to share my screen. I feel like I take it over this session. Jahlin, stop now again. Now, why I'm going to show these pictures is not because obviously I went to this Panama Canal when it was under construction, but I just wanted to inspire that these are some of the projects that you have the potential to work for if you don't want to remain in the Caribbean. I mean, Caribbean have its own very nice, unique projects, right? Especially on the coastal front. But imagine this is inside the Panama Canal before water hits it. Okay? And this is it now.
Nice.
And well, this picture I didn't take. The second picture was a professional photographer. The first one was me, amateur photographer. Right? This was the inside again. This is what the step down area for the ship. So you could see the elevations as you go along. And this is it now. Same step down area.
Nice.
This is the gate that closes the canal. Now look at this 4x4 van sitting down here. And you'll get an appreciation. This is a gate, and this does not sit down in the water, this floats. This entire 6 or 7 story gate. Right? This is the gate now. Right, it's a sliding gate. And of course, this was my one picture which I thoroughly enjoyed taking, which was the bird's eye view. And you see the little porta potty here, so you get appreciation of scale. And this is now. Now the question is, who do you think was in charge of this project? Do you think it was an older person, a younger person, a male or a female? Anybody can answer. Who was the construction manager on the ground?
Oh man.
Somebody said old man.
Yeah.
Who said a woman?
Me.
Good, so you're right. Because it was a young lady of 35 years of old with no popularity for this project. And she's the one who managed the entire construction team. And I'll talk about construction team of over 3,000 or 4,000 people, right, at the various stages. Okay? So the question is, now of course, right now and dead, but not the fellas. It's just that the reason why I bring this up is because you have to see yourself in the vision. You have to see yourself as Jahlin and Aaron, you have to see yourself as the project managers in the future. It's only obvious. But you have to position yourself that, and this is something I'm going to tell you, some dummy going to come along in your career, and I want to talk about crossroads. Right? I'm going to answer that question, Ari. Just I'll get into that question. Crossroads. I described a crossroad earlier in my career where I had to walk out of a job with my wife pregnant. Jahlin described a crossroads in his career. I am telling you all, you are all going to face it one way or the other. You're going to face an ethical crossroad where you will have to decide the difference between, I think I quoted this from Harry Potter, the difference between doing what is easy and doing what is right. I think that's what Dumbledore said to Harry Potter, right? I always like that quote, right? And so crossroads is something that you're going to deal with. There's a question, Aaron, I hope I take it over. I'm just reading this question here in the chat. How do you recommend us to view the competition and just coming out of uni? Like the fear of not getting a job. Right, so in this room of 30, well, there was 34 people in this room. everybody is in competition right now. The question for you is, how do you deal with your colleagues when they come out? So when I graduated, I saw some of my colleagues getting better paying jobs than me, and I was just very angry and upset about it. Okay, but wait now, I have an upper second or first class degree, right? And why is these people getting better jobs? So I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna shatter all the ceiling right now. When they get first class, second class, or even third class, it doesn't matter in the world of work. What matters is the ability to do the work, the ability to grow in the profession, the ability to handle things ethically. It's good to have a first class. I'm not saying no, you've worked hard for it, but don't. This is something I hope that your generation is not doing, which is comparing classes.
Yeah.
You know, and being a little smug about it. Hey, you know, Jahlin got a second class degree. Haha. You understand? No, let's not do that. So the question for Arif is, how you recommend us viewing the competition? I want Jahlin to answer to my answer before Jahlin answer. Is yes, you are in competition, but always remember to keep professional, treat your colleagues with respect, even doing competition. Where's your take on it, Jahlin?
I would say, so you ought to realize in my presentation, I went a long while without really being unemployed. And the reason why I made myself very marketable, right? So meaning that, well, I would have graduated with a first class honors, as well as what made me be able to get into companies like BP and these things, which are very, very competitive, is the fact that they were seeing someone with, okay, they pursued whatever, but they still had a lot of other skills, right? So when they look at my resume, they saw that, hey, I've been someone who been actively involved in either ESS or ICE or iShockC. They also seen that, you know, I was very, you know, I would have been doing some teaching, right, as well too. So they know that, okay, my ability to understand these things are very, you know, they could have put me in a leadership position without fear, you know. And I would say you take the time now to really you're not just coming for a degree, right? Well, sorry that during the pandemic now, I know things are a little bit, you know, I don't know if you have a lot of co-curricular courses to do still, but I would say you take time to develop those other skills. Agreed. Because at the end of the day, trust me, we're going to an era in our society where it doesn't matter who are first class. It might not even matter what degree you have. What they want to see is, correct, are you someone who is open to learning? You know, are you someone who, you know, who have certain skills that they're looking for the position? You understand? You can't make everything your GPA, because since the 3 years that I've graduated, nobody has really asked me what my GPA was, more than peers who probably want to compare themselves, you know, but truth of the matter is nobody really care about your GPA and these things. You know, what really matters is how you apply yourself. So I hope that was somewhat insightful.
And I want to add to that, right? In the first couple of years, I mean, invariably, right now, as you're in class, you'll find yourself comparing yourself. Okay, and I'm going to get to that other question I see in the chat, right? But after a while, when everybody settled down, and I saw this in my own group, I learned to respect everybody in my year, because some of them went on to become very good contractors. There's nothing wrong with that. Some of them went on to become designers. Some of them went on to do research like me, the PhDs. And some of them went on to do other fields which supplemented the degree, okay? So yes, you're in competition, but you know, as Maslow's triangle, if you've ever studied that, as you get to self-actualization, you will realize that the things that matter on later, in early in your career, yes, you want to launch your career, you want to make some money. But as you go on, you realize that your family life and your social fabric and how you contribute to society, right? I've been very blessed to contribute to society through the IC, and now we're going on different parts of my life. And hopefully when I join the Department of Civil Engineering next year as full-time lecturer, then I'll be able to make another contribution. So the question was, what is your opinion on lack of availability of internships for university students, especially due to the pandemic? Furthermore, the importance of internships grows even more important as based on primary research, job vacancies all typically ask for some level of experience. Right, this is my thing, I like to call it a chicken and egg, and let me explain what I mean by that. So when I went to my first interview, as I graduated fresh, 2002, here's what the number one question is, this person will ask me in the interview, do you have experience? So I said, no, I just came out to university. He said, well, yeah, I have experience in the job. Now, back then, and those who know me will know a little bit of a bad so-and-so, right? I asked the guy, I said, here's this now. Why you coming to the interview knowing that I don't have the experience, and then in the interview you're trying to embarrass me by saying, I don't have the experience? That is the chicken and egg. Yes. So right now, some of you may have worked and you get some experience. Some of you will have not worked and you have zero experience. Let me explain something to you. If an employer is asking you that, and this comes back to Jahlin statement on spirituality. If an employer asks you that, then that employer is not the right employer for you, because they must recognize that coming out of university, you have no experience. You have spent 4 years or 5 or 3 years doing a degree, and you have committed all your time to do this degree. Where would you have gotten the time to get experience? Now, long time university starts when you got a sandwich program. Okay, where you study for 2 years, you go and work for 1 year, and then you come back a year after that. That's an excellent program. But now, not so much. So you are going to see job interviews where they're going to ask you for experience, and it's just weird. It's just extremely weird. One interview I went to, the person asked me if I have a car. I know coming to the university, I had, and those days I had to pay back that we call a revolving program, right? Where I had to take a loan for my degree and then pay it back. Where are I gonna get money to buy a car? I could not afford a car for the first 5 years of my life. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. Jahlin, before we move on to Fana's question, you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to interject. I know that I think you want to say you want to wrap up by 7, okay. But just to add towards the question,
but just before you do, I just want to think about if you all would like to continue the conversation beyond Selma, Aaron, it's up to you. Just let me know and we could continue. But because I find this discussion going real hot. Go ahead, John.
Regarding the lack of internships, right, for university students, yes. That is a big problem right now. I would say that you just need to always position yourself in a way that sometimes you have to take certain opportunities just for the experience and not focus on the money most per se, right? So that is something, you know, if to get your foot in the door, you need to make yourself more and more marketable. And once you make yourself marketable and your network, your network with, persons like Dr. Don, even myself, you stand a better chance. But I know the pandemic right now, everybody's kind of downsizing. So you just have to be even more creative in the different things you learn. I mean, in civil engineering, try doing a little course or try affiliating yourself with somebody who do property management, or something like that. It don't necessarily need to just be civil engineering. Out of all the engineering degrees is the broadest. Civil engineers rule the world. Yeah, there's no doubt about it, right? Because we do things from road, buildings, below the ground, ocean, every little thing that you look around and see, a civil engineer design and build it. So that should just show you that you could be very creative instead of just thinking, all right, you're looking for a consultancy firm or you're looking for construction management. There are civil engineers, or work is all around you. So you could always find a creative way of involving yourself and making yourself getting some additional insights into the field. First, going on to Fana question. Sorry.
Before I go into Fana question, right? I just wanted to add.
One Fana question, right?
Yeah.
As we on the conversation of experience, etc.
Yeah.
Actually, before the geomatics department had their meet the experts, and one of the speakers was talking about that same experience.
Correct.
And he was explaining that, he came out of school and he went and he did his master's, then he went straight to his PhD. And when he went to his interview, they actually told him, well, you had no experience.
Mm-hmm.
So in regards to that, I know a lot of students inclined to, okay, they graduate, go straight to the master's, then to the PhD. Is that, what advice would you give with regards to that?
All right, this one I could take. So I wanted to add something to, well, I'll combine my response, right? And then we'll take Fana's question. One of the things Jahlin probably trying to tell you is that if you can't find a job, you could create a job,
Mm-hmm.
I think that is, for example, we have potholes in the roads in Trinidad where everybody complaining, day in, day out, day in, day out. Why you and this will tie in with Fana's question too, so I tie in everybody's question together. Why can't you as a student, you have a degree, innovate something, innovate.
Yeah.
We know how to solve potholes, but create the work for yourself. Don't be afraid to do it. Now it comes, let's answer Aaron's question and then we'll tie in Fana's question. So you're right. When you proceed from a BSc to MSc and straight to a PhD, some have. The experience is not there. You have academic experience. Now, to do a master's, you need to have some experience because there are certain questions in the courses and coursework that they give you that you need to have experience to answer. And you will struggle with the master's. Now with the PhD, which is pure research, yes, it's more academic, but you still need to have some experience because that is what helped me to guide me to get a PhD. So I would say at each stage, if you're pursuing it, get some experience is absolutely necessary. But you can create experience for yourself if you don't find a job. Okay, and it could be as simple as, here's what somebody wants to build a house, because people always want to build a house. Go and register a company. You could register a company online. Jahlin knows this, right? And it's I did it recently. It's very easy process. The government has made it very easy to register a company online. Register a company and start building houses for people. Get some experience here, right? That is how most contractors start. That is how Junior Sammy started and know where he is today. All right, now let's get to Fana's question. Aaron, that answers your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
also, just before,
go ahead.
Before we move on to Fana, right? With regards to Aaron's question, yes, experience trumps everything, and that's actually the process that I'm in right now. Because I was considering going to do a master's, right? But I said, hey, let me spend at least 2 years working, right? So I'm right now in that period of working where I could now say, okay, after I work as a geotechnical engineer for 2 years, do I really want to pursue a master's in geotechnical engineering, right? And now I can make better decisions about my life. So I would say, always advise you to get some experience in between.
Correct.
Yeah, to find out.
All right, so Fana's question is, in the Caribbean, if you know, I love this question, because this is actually something that's driving nuts. Remember the question. In the Caribbean, we seem to have an issue with scalability. That can be attributed to the view that we have of ourselves, as person living in a small island state. When it comes to skill set in profession, how do we change our perspective to one where we see ourselves as global competitors to seeing ourselves as large ocean states? Excellent question. Because I said earlier in this chat that there was an interview where, again, the guy was speaking with me, and when I arrived in the UK, he tried to downplay me. But knowing the person that I am, I'm not going to take crap from people. So I told him, I said, here's what. You called me. I went to the UK. Yes, I spent some money. And now you're telling me that I don't have enough experience, so why you call me in the first place? Okay? In true Trinidadian style. We have to stop seeing ourselves as physically small. That is something that has come from, and I'm being very truthful here, from the days of slavery and indentureship, and we have to stop. We have to see ourselves as global contributors. When I first started the IC West Indies Association, Jahlin would know this. That is one of that was our punchline, if you remember, right? We used to say civil engineers could make contribute from our neck of the woods, could make contribution to the world. Now, I can now tell you why I have left the IC. Okay, and I'm not bad talking the IC here. There are other reasons, but this is one of the chief reasons. I was getting to a point where I kept on telling them, I said, I am paying fees. And the UK, if you go on the benefits of the IC website, the benefits, the UK persons have plenty more benefits than myself. And both of us are paying the same fees. That was one. Two, every time I saw a policy, a strategic policy, and I'm not bad talking the IC, I'm just telling you what happened. Every time I saw a strategic policy of the IC, they never addressed this part of the world. And when I talk about this part of the world, I'm talking about particularly the Caribbean. I started IC America's publication just before I left. And I would tell you that there were some people did not want to see the Caribbean showcased. Okay? So I know everybody has seen the expression on people's faces, but this is the reality of the world we live in. So the question that Fana is asking is very important, because we need to stop seeing ourselves. Why do we import civil engineers to do the work in our islands? I keep asking that, why? Why are we doing it? We training, we university training persons. We have people with masters. And let me explain something to you. I'm going to say this part. When you are working as a civil engineer in another company, you don't work on multiple things. They give you one project at one time. So your experience is very specific. In the Caribbean, if you work in different projects, you might be doing a drainage project or a geotechnical project or a construction project or design project all at the same time. So the type of experience you get in the Caribbean, and we have challenges of money here. Not everywhere you will have these kind of challenges. We have to make the money that the government or whoever's the client is giving us, make it work. Yeah. So I want you all, especially this generation right now, to stop seeing yourself as small island. Yes, the islands are physically small, but the contribution have to become large. No, with respect to the skill sets. So unfortunately, you have to get the international skill sets from the various countries to play on in their field. So the chartered or the PMP. But I was told in an interview, and that's another interview, that my chartered experience is not the same as somebody in the UK. And I was like, what? That can't be right. I'm a chartered person. I'm a chartered civil engineer. So is a UK person. But this is the attempts people will make to put you wrong. You see, my job here is not to depress you, it's to get you in a thinking of reality. Right? I want you to understand that you have a contribution to make. That is why, I mean, again, we're going spiritual. That is why God created, right? Whatever name you call God by, right? He created for a purpose, and the purpose is to contribute. Okay? And I struggle, and my PhD, the stubbornness in me, if I didn't fight the whole department of civil engineering, I would not get today. So I ain't revolutionizing it. You go out and start to strike now state of emergency over, so you can go and strike all over the place, right? The point is, develop yourself, as Jahlin said. Develop your soft skills, develop your skills, make a contribution, work hard, do the work honestly, give people a fair pay. Sorry, how do I ever say it, right? A fair day's work for a fair pay, right? You are already global competitors.
Exactly.
The university always boasts and say that I can't remember where they reach in the time higher education ranking. And for the love of God, do not let someone put you down. Right? When you go out any world of work, you respectfully tell them, here's the deal. I am young. I have my, top 1%, as Brian said. I am young. I have the experience. I'm going to acquire it. Don't tell me because I'm from the Caribbean, that means, that I'm small. All right, I could rule out until 9 o'clock with this, but Jahlin, go ahead.
Oh no, what I was just gonna say, as Don said, really, I think it's a mentality thing that we're not seeing it, but we're slowly moving away from it. It was a thinking that was associated with a lot of the older folks that they view everything away as better. But what you grow to realize is that the persons who are coming from away to work here, you realize they are usually at the bottom of the scale. You understand? And we have this elevated view, oh, they're away.
Yeah.
And that means that there's somewhat better. And you now need to overcome that thinking for yourself by seeing them for what they are. Not because they went to some other university that you consider more prestige means that, 1 + 1 is equal to 2, no matter where you are in the world. You understand? So you just always have to remember that. And just come out of that thinking, right? Because right now the playing field is flat. Facebook, all these things, it's leveled.
Yeah.
Right? Meaning that you could see an opportunity that advertised in UK and you could qualify for it. Nothing is stopping you. Right? So you just have to come out that thinking and remember that you are a global citizen. I mean, you're part of a country, yes, but you are a civil engineer globally. A building is a building, no matter where you go in the world. Right? So it's just to gradually work out of that mentality. So that's all I'd like to add.
And if you want an example, I think how many of you know Tamara Abdul? Okay. Tamara used to be on the IC student executive. She is now heading to, well, she hasn't headed there yet. She is now heading to China, right? She applied. I think she's about 24 or so. She applied and they accepted her in China because we sent her to China on a previous kind of mission where she was part of a competition, IC Global competition, and she won an award for her contribution. And then she's gone back to China now, and I told her, don't come back until you have a PhD, right? So I want to let her see that as you have to change your mentality. I don't know if Fana answer your question.
Yes, I did. I appreciate the responses, guys.
All right, good.
Thanks a lot.
Keeping the conversation hot. I don't know if everybody, I see me down to 25 people now, so I don't know.
Any questions?
So nobody has questions on how civil engineering could help you with relationships?
We have a question in the chat.
It could, very much. All right, go ahead. Oh, in the chat, is it?
Yeah, in the chat.
Oh, yeah, I don't see it. Okay, all right, this is Akil. Let me see. For a person who is interested in pursuing a future in academia, all right, is it wise to apply for a job within the industry, for example, civil engineering assistant while pursuing an MPhil? Or should a student of academia rather stay within the walls of the university as a lab tech, in order to have ease of access for labs for research and a thesis? This will obviously indicate a lack of growth potential for certain individuals if they work as a lab tech, as opposed to a civil engineering assistant. Excellent question. So to answer that question is this. There are people, like Professor Copeland himself, who actually never went into industry. He was always a bright student. He did his BSc, then his master's, and then he went straight to his PhD, the campus principal. Okay, and so he's in academia. Or there are other people like myself who pursued a PhD part-time while working in industry. So depending on your research, now this is the other thing I wanted to talk about as we talk in research. Research is finding a problem and trying to solve it. So if you find, my problem was I find there was too much corruption in engineering, civil engineering, construction. I want to solve that problem. And that is what I set out to do. And that's why I ended up with my PhD. So for anybody who wishes to pursue a career in research, find a problem that you're passionate about, right? Whether it's drainage, water, electrical, whatever it is. Just find a problem that you're, because that passion is what's going to allow you to get the PhD. Because when the days come when the PhD or the answers is hard, and you find yourself saying, I want to quit, that is the passion. I'll say, you know what, I set out to solve a problem and I'm going to solve that damn problem. Sorry for the language, right? So in terms of answering that question, you can't stay in the walls of academia. But once you do stay in the walls, you will probably be pigeonholed into that current academia. For me, I got some industry experience. It's always good to have industry experience. Jahlin, I'm here to take out era no Fana.
Before Dr. Don,
yeah,
somebody trying to come in this session.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's Emmanuel.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
I wasn't paying attention. You see, I'm rambling.
Like
You see, only just stop me when I'm rambling. So good. Yeah, Jahlin, good.
Oh,
Jahlin so busy taking calls. He taking calls
no,
while the
sorry
session
about
going.
that.
No, we're not apologizing. We're glad you're busy. Go ahead.
Yes. Right. So all that Dr. Don had said, right, is applicable. I think you just need to really just try. Oh, what I will say is that, oh gosh, I might sound biased, right? I would say that you should really do some teaching as well if you plan to pursue a future in academia, like from now, right? So you do some private stuff where you get to consolidate the information, right? Because one of the things that I probably didn't make mention, the reason why I could have managed so much throughout my degree, which was not normal, right? Because it was because of my strong background in teaching. So what I used to do, my system was that in school, I already tutored physics at CAPE level or at CSEC level, right? So when I go to class and I see the things on the board, I realize it's not that hard, right? Persons might say, oh, yeah, you're so smart, but that was a little hack. What happened is that they forgot what these things look like because they didn't do it for 2 years, and I am teaching it every day. So I was like, you know, I used to be, I was kind of delinquent in class because of the understanding I had, right? So I would say teaching would give you that insight, right? And help you able to connect the dots really. So that way, when you're teaching, you're not just opening a book and reciting information, but like for me, I could take a concept wherever you are at, you know, and teach you from a perspective where you understand the fundamentals and you work up from there. So I would say to go into, especially if it's a future in academia, start to teach from now.
Agreed.
You know, so that way, yeah.
Okay, so we're taking one more question. Any other question?
Yes.
You could forward to me and I would send it to the speakers. Any more questions?
Right.
Okay, we have
yes, we have a question. Well, honestly, I could go on for your side, but I know somebody had to go and do the thing. Right, so as you brought up the topic of of relationships and today. Well, I love this question. When doing your PhD, how did you balance your time with your significant other while battling with the demands of a PhD? As a person getting married within the next few years, congratulations. Next few years, they say, all right. Now is the best time. I always tell people now is the best time to get married because the wedding, how much are you know? There's 25 people in a wedding.
Yes,
yeah, you're saving so much money, right? Just get married now. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
As a person, you're right. So, okay, let me talk about this. Work versus personal life balance, and Jahlin, you could definitely enter here too. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you. There are times my wife was like, I fed up with you on this PhD, you know. I fed up, I just fed up. Because remember, I got married. No, you know, this might be a joke, right? Might be. Let me see if the potential is there. When I got married, I said, okay, my name is Crystal. I said, Crystal, here's the deal. We're going on the honeymoon, but unfortunately, where we're going on the honeymoon, I have to do my chartered exam. So on our honeymoon, we went to the UK and I did the chartered exam while on honeymoon. She was a very understanding wife, still is. And when the IC people found out that I was on my honeymoon, they just went out and they shook her hand and I said, well, we congratulated for allowing Don to do this on honeymoon, right? So that's one. During the 10 years that we have been married, I have done this PhD. So it's the entire length of our marriage I've been doing this. And there were times when it was a lot on her because I had to do my research, go to seminars, that kind of thing. And then, of course, when the children come into play, I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. So when they come into play, you'll realize that it is going to be challenging, right? Sometimes it's best to do these things at your early career when you're probably in the single mode or you're just in the engagement mode. But you could do it after you're married, but it depends on the person you're married. My wife was very understanding at times. At times, she just tell me, fling the thesis in the ocean, right? We talk about ocean engineering, right? So work-life balance, and this is very important. Work-life balance. Whatever it is, whether you have a girlfriend or you're engaged or you have children, whatever. I made time over the years during my PhD to make sure we went on our family trips. You know, we had our birthday limes, we did whatever. It's very important, no matter what your career choice is, master's, PhD, whatever. Please make time for your work-life balance to relax. Because I'll tell you something, if I died now, which I hope I don't, they're going to university going to replace them by tomorrow morning, right? So the question is, make sure you have proper work-life balance. Jahlin, go ahead. This is something I know you're passionate about.
Put me on the spot here, but I think what Dr. Don said was enough. I don't think I have enough experience in relationships as I have my hurdles to overcome myself. But work-life balance is something that I would say I'm learning right now, right? Because as you could see, I dabble in a lot, and yeah, I probably I'm going through my relationship issues, not in a relationship, but going through issues with that, finding the balance. And I'm at a point in my life now where I realize that hey, you need to. There's so much you could do professionally, but if you forget the persons who are around you, if you don't foster certain relationships with your family and stuff like that, you will realize that time just fly by. And before you know it, you had to live with a lot of regrets because you're thinking that you're building a future or you're doing all of this to benefit them. But when you reach that point, it might not have a them there to appreciate and celebrate it with. So, it's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. I'm not no expert. Dr. Don is the the man you have to listen to. I am
I was gonna say, Martin, I expert.
No,
I don't know expert relationships because I'll tell you this potentially funny joke again. So every time I broke up with someone, I used to go and do a course, right? So so naturally I had real courses now on my resume. So I ain't saying go and follow that credo, right? You can follow different credos, but that is how I used to get over my different stages.
I feel that's what I do,
Yeah, that's what I do. See, I know you don't want to say it, but I know that's where it was probably at. So anyhow, that's a good, nice comical note there. So any questions there, Iran? Any other questions?
Yeah, so that was the last question actually.
All right, good.
So as I say, anybody who have any added questions that they would like to pose to the speakers, you could always forward it to your class rep and they would forward the questions to me. I would like to take the time to thank both speakers for coming out tonight. It was really appreciated. I really enjoyed these sessions and I know for a fact that I learned a lot from these sessions. So,
especially the last point. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I really hope it was the same for everyone else. So yeah, that is it.
All right,
thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yes.
I appreciate it.
And thanks to the 25, 30 people that stayed on till the end.
Yeah.
Right. So good night, everybody.
All right, guys. Take care.
Good job.
Thanks, Chelsea, for the opportunity.
Thanks,
and everybody else on the ESS.
All right, so thanks for answering the question.
Take care, guys.
All right, take care. Oh, how you come out this time?